Tea has a reputation for being soothing, traditional, and, well, inherently safe. Many people turn to it precisely because they want something milder than coffee or soda, something that feels compatible with long-term health. But that assumption often skips over how modern tea is grown, processed, blended, and packaged. Over time, a pattern emerges that doesn't show up in the taste of the cup, but does show up in exposure. Trace contaminants, misleading sourcing claims, aggressive flavoring practices, and additives that affect humans and pets very differently. This matters more as we age, when the body becomes less efficient at clearing certain compounds, and it matters for pet owners who don't realize that what seems diluted or harmless to us can quietly stress an animal's system. If you care about food awareness rather than food fear, this is a good moment to subscribe to Food Red Flag, because the goal here is clarity, understanding what's actually in everyday products we trust. The first red flag appears when tea is sourced from regions with weak contamination controls. Tea leaves are unusually efficient at absorbing what's in their environment. That includes beneficial minerals, but it also includes heavy metals like lead, cadmium, and aluminum. Some large commercial tea brands source from regions where, soil testing and export oversight are inconsistent, and the leaves are harvested from older plants that naturally accumulate more metals over time. When those leaves are used in inexpensive blends, the exposure per cup may be small, but honestly, the pattern matters. Daily consumption over years changes the equation, especially for children, pregnant adults, and older drinkers whose detoxification pathways are, less robust. This is not about a single cup causing harm, it's about repeated intake without transparency or testing. The second concern shows up in budget tea bags made from bleached paper and plastic blends. Many widely sold tea brands rely on low-cost tea bags that are heat-sealed with plastic polymers. When hot water is poured over them, tiny amounts of microplastics and chemical residues can, migrate into the drink. Individually, these exposures are subtle, but tea is often consumed daily, sometimes even multiple times a day. Over time, that repetition matters more than the dose. For pet owners, this becomes relevant when brewed tea is left unattended or diluted tea water is offered during hot weather, which, might seem harmless, but actually introduces compounds animals are not equipped to process. The third issue is artificially flavored tea that relies on chemical aroma rather than real plants. Many popular fruit and dessert-style teas contain very little actual fruit or spice. Instead, they rely on so-called natural flavor compounds that are chemically derived to mimic taste. While these additives are permitted for human consumption in small amounts, they are not neutral. Some can irritate sensitive digestive systems, trigger headaches in people prone to migraines, or cause subtle nausea that, often gets misattributed to stress. Pets are even more vulnerable here. Cats and dogs lack certain liver enzymes needed to metabolize these compounds efficiently, which means repeated exposure can lead to lethargy, appetite changes, or gastrointestinal upset that honestly, owners rarely connect back to tea. The fourth red flag involves herbal teas that quietly include plants unsafe for animals. Chamomile, peppermint, licorice root, and certain citrus peels are commonly used in calming or digestive tea blends. For humans, these ingredients are usually benign when consumed responsibly. For pets, the picture is, different. Essential oils and concentrated plant compounds affect animal nervous systems and livers in ways that don't mirror human biology. Dogs may show restlessness or vomiting, while cats can display subtle behavioral changes long before obvious illness appears. The fifth pattern emerges in detox and slimming teas, marketed with, vague wellness language. Some tea brands lean heavily on words like cleanse or balance without clearly disclosing laxative herbs or stimulant combinations. The sixth warning sign is tea dust and fannings used to speed extraction rather than preserve quality. Lower-grade teas are often ground finely to release color and caffeine quickly. This increases bitterness and, honestly, also increases the release of accumulated contaminants from the leaf surface. The seventh issue is misleading decaffeinated labeling that ignores residual stimulant content. Decaffeination processes vary widely and, well, some leave behind enough caffeine and related compounds to matter for sensitive individuals. Not all tea deserves suspicion, and, two categories consistently show better transparency and lower risk. Brands that focus on single-origin loose-leaf tea and actually publish independent contaminant testing tend to perform better over time. These companies often use younger leaves, avoid artificial flavoring, and package their tea in unbleached, plastic-free materials. The result isn't just better taste, it's reduced cumulative exposure. Similarly, herbal teas made from clearly identified single-ingredient plants, such as pure rooibos or carefully sourced ginger, offer predictability. That predictability matters for people tracking sensitivities and for pet owners managing shared spaces. What ultimately matters is not fear, but honestly the patterns you repeat without realizing it. Tea can be a valuable part of daily life, offering hydration, ritual, and comfort. Problems arise when branding replaces transparency and when consumers assume that long-standing habits don't need revisiting. Small exposures repeated over years shape health more than occasional indulgences. For pet owners, awareness extends beyond what goes into your cup and into what's left on tables, counters, and floors. Food awareness is not about perfection, but about noticing what quietly adds up. Understanding tea labels, sourcing practices, and ingredient lists is less about restriction and more about respect for your body, your pets, and the long timelines that real health unfolds over. If this kind of clear, responsible food guidance matters to you, consider subscribing to Food Red Flag. Share this video with someone who drinks tea daily or lives with pets, and keep building awareness that protects health not through panic, but through informed attention over time.